All right, everyone. So we are going to break down for you guys the pool report after the controversial call in the Bills Broncos game and also the response from Sean McDermott to that. Okay, so we're going to break down both of these for you. So let's start. I want to read the NFL pool report in full. Okay, so referee Charles Schaefer's, I think it is the one responding here. And then these are obviously questions from journalists. So let's read them. What did you see on the pass to Brandon Cooks that was ruled an interception by Jaquan McMillan? This is what Sheffer said. The receiver has to complete the process of a catch. He was going to the ground as part of the process of the catch, and he lost possession of the ball when he hit the ground. The defender gained possession of it at that point. The defender is the one that completed the process of the catch, so the defender was awarded the ball. So let's stop there for 1 second. So what this is telling us is that according to Schaefer's, right, the wide receiver lost the ball when he hit the ground. So when he hits the ground, that's when the receiver loses the ball. Did the ball hit the ground? Schaefer says no. That was confirmed in the replay process. The interception was confirmed. So this appears to be, at the very least, a huge deal. They're not saying that this was kept the call because of what the call was on the field. They're saying it was confirmed, that they could actually tell that this is what took place. Pretty interesting. Can you take us through the two pass interference penalties in overtime? Actually, we don't need to read those because, it doesn't really matter to me. We're talking about the fumble. So by reading that first part, what does it tell us? Number one, they're saying that the ball never hit the ground, but that the receiver lost control when he hits the ground. So they're making the argument that as he's laying there on the ground, he loses control. He never has it. So if we go back to these moments right here, they're making the argument that at this moment right here, he does not have control of this football. That's the argument they're making. Okay. Now we're going to go to Sean McDermott. Remember, we put up yesterday the video of him responding in real time, kind of right after the game. I guess right after the game, right? Now he called the Buffalo News. This is after having heard this. Here's what he said. That play is not even close. That's a catch all the way. I sat in my locker and I looked at it probably 20 times, and nobody can convince me that the ball is not caught and in possession of Buffalo. I just have no idea how the NFL handled it. In particular, the way that they did. I think the players know and the fans deserve an explanation. Is there any recourse here for you? What can you do? Here's the deal, right? The fans deserve more. The players certainly deserve more. They deserve an explanation, and it's a shame that a game is decided on a call like that, and there is no time spent with the head official going underneath the hood or to the replay booth, right? To the monitor, I don't understand how that works. I don't understand how they could be the case when it's such a close play. So basically, there's one person ruling on that play, or only New York ruling on that play. I don't agree with that. If that's the case, I don't agree with that. That is the best approach to decide a game like that. Okay, so there's more, but I want to stop here for 1 second. Remember, according to Carl, he's saying that this was confirmed, and I guess that must be by New York. But I think what is said here by McDermott is a good point, too, is, a lot of times perception is reality. And so when you have a situation like we saw here, where the viewing audience at home really has no clue what the hell is going on. They have no clue. I mean, personally, I had zero clue. I was like, is McDermott going to throw a challenge flag? Maybe that's being ignorant of the rules in overtime. I figured that would be reviewed by maybe New York or whatever it is, but we got no real recognition of this is what happened. To me, it all kind of came on fast of, yeah, it's Broncos ball, when that was very controversial. I agree with McDermott 100% in terms of the perception of what happened, regardless of what you think the play was or wasn't, did not really line up with what it should. And that started a lot of the case. Okay. You've always been cautious about commenting on officiating. Why do you feel in this situation that it's so important to share how you feel about it? Because I only speak up when there is a wrong. In this case, it happened to be our team. We win with class and we lose with class in Buffalo. That's how we handle our business. But when I'm looking at the replay myself and I'm being objective and I'm saying you cannot convince me that was not a catch, Buffalo possession, ball at the 20. You can't convince me. I'm speaking up because I feel strongly that that was a catch and that possession should have been ball belongs to Buffalo. I can't agree with their assessment of a change of possession or whatever the statement was. I can't agree with that. We're not just going to sit here and take it, is what I'm saying. We're not just going to sit here and take it. I'm pissed off about it, and I feel strongly, as I've looked at in review in my own locker room, that it's a catch, possession, Buffalo. And that's the process should have been. Long pause, handled differently. I don't understand to sit here and take it. Oh wait, handle different. I don't understand why the head official who was at the game does not get a chance to look at the same thing the people in New York are ruling on. So this is pretty interesting in my opinion, and I think when we look at what McDermott is saying, I understand his frustration. I understand what the referee put out here, but here's I think my main issue with this whole situation, and this is a point we've made on this channel before in regards to officiating. The problem here is that so could what Carl is saying here be the case? 100%, right? Maybe by rule, because there's a lot of rules of the NFL that I know I saw a lot of the rules analysts putting out rule that, oh yeah, they made the right call. A lot of times there are rules that people just don't, it's like, one rule, but until we see it in real time, we don't really understand there's actually another rule that also applies. And so maybe this was an interception. The problem is, and people have pointed this out all over social media, this is not enforced uniformly. We have seen way too many instances of the reverse of this being called in certain situations, and people were pointing out one of them was actually last year in the Kansas City Bills game, and the Bills were on the wrong side of that one. Now, I'm not saying they were a one-for-one comparison, because I don't think they were, but the argument is that these aren't being enforced properly, right? So it's like when the rules suit a call, they find a way to make the rule that way. The other way, they make the argument in reverse, right? Where it's like, well, he was down with possession. And I think when I look at this, right, and this is the main problem I have with the explanation, is that they're claiming that he loses possession of the ball when he hits the ground. I just don't know, watching every angle of this clip. To me, this is the best angle we actually have of it. To me, it's pretty clear that he still has possession of the ball laying on the ground. If we go to this one just to watch it again, you're telling me he loses possession of the ball right there? I just really can't see it. And unless there's another angle that they haven't put out that shows us them losing the ball, I think this is a horrible call. I mean, even when we look right here, it looks like he still has possession of this football right here, right? And it's only on the turnover that now he begins to lose it. So he has possession here, and now it gets ripped out, and he begins to lose it. And now, so I understand the argument of, wait a minute, you have to survive the ground for it to be a completed catch. He loses it, and therefore it's not a catch. But we've seen in the past it not called this way. That's the problem. And I think this is the problem with a lot of the officiating problems people have with the NFL. It's not necessarily about a rule or not a rule. It's about it not being the same standard all the time, where you have different, it feels like, there's going to be a game next year where this same thing happens and it will be called a completed catch, right? And that is the issue, is if what they're saying, because I can see the argument, right? If what they're saying here is he catches it, he secures it here, he has possession, then loses it now, this guy grabs it, it's a pick, that's considered a pick, fine, right? If we look here, if this, because it looks to me like he has possession all through here, right? I mean, I guess you could make the argument right here, but he certainly has possession right here, and he's down. And now he begins to lose it, right, when it gets ripped out. If that's the argument that's being made, we have to see that all the time. But I can almost guarantee you we'll be sitting here, even if maybe even before next year, we'll see the complete opposite of this. And I think most times we've seen that they kind of give a tie goes to the runner. That's like, a baseball term. But in this case, tie goes to the receiver. We've seen that time and time again. And the fact they didn't give it to him here, I can understand McDermott's frustration. And I just think this is what the NFL has to fix. Is it's not necessarily that this is a call that there's no argument at all. I disagree slightly after watching the replay more, even with myself after watching it. I can sort of see a little bit of the argument now, and after reading the pool report, the issue is that there's too many instances of in the past that not holding true, right? And it being, to me, what this looks like is the guy's down and the player rips the ball out after, right? As he's in the motion of doing that, when he's already down with contact. And if the rule is you're down with contact, you're already on the ground, that should be it, right? But we will see. So Thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time.